Hello everybody. It is Wednesday, June 22nd, and we're here to do a live Tech Talk. We're back on YouTube and Facebook all at the same time. So thanks for joining us on whatever platform you're on. I've got Jamie, Jeff, and Alex here in the studio today to help pull this off. I forgot to print my normal guideline, so I'm completely winging this today. So bear with me. We've actually got some cool stuff to talk to you about, and we'll give everybody a second here to get on. Jeff, it looks like we got a bunch of our usual folks.
Yeah, we got Kelly Sims on, Steve
Nice.
Waterman, Esther Perry-Newcomb,
Cool.
Terry Mode,
Big
Tyler
Ter.
Johnson.
Nice.
So they're piling on.
All right, awesome. Thanks everybody for joining us. Of course, we're here to talk about your favorite subject and mine, Jeeping. How to build them, how to drive them, how to do whatever. Work on them. Mostly work on them, so that's cool too. So let's see. It looks like we've got quite a few on already, so I'm just gonna kind of get going with it. As always, I welcome your questions and comments. So make sure that you type in as complete information as you can for whatever your question is. Give us the details on your vehicle, etc. So we can get that answered for you. Of course, make sure that both on Facebook and YouTube that you have your notifications turned on so you're not missing any of the videos that we put up or these lives. And then, of course, follow us by liking our page. We're still in a really good inventory position across the board. So if you're looking for some Jeep parts, we've got everything in stock in time for whatever summer trip you're taking. So call in or order online. We can get those parts out to you fast. Of course, brand new apparel, and you can see some of it here that we've got on the wall that Jamie just finished up. It looks really nice, and this is available on the website, of course. And this is a picture of our YouTube homepage. We've just put up a whole bunch of brand new videos, and we've got all of our Tech Talk videos on there. We've got a bunch of stuff on there. So if you're looking to get updates on the budget YJ we call Foreshock, or any of our Tech Talk stuff, we've got lots of good videos over on YouTube, so definitely get over and check that out. And again, turn on your notifications. Okay, so we're going to talk about, I got a couple things on a featured product here that I want to talk about, and today we've had a lot of questions about our brand new aluminum cargo rack. And this is a picture of it. I had it a few weeks ago here on the show. It is really nice, light, sleek, and I want to explain why we did this, and I've got a couple pictures to show you. So if you're running, a lot of gear in the back of your vehicle, whether you have a hardtop or not, this gives you the ability to break that storage area up and better utilize it, right? So the tall one made it a little bit hard to get bins like this up over the top of it. So we made this more slender aluminum one and then supported it with the center section. Now that center section can be cut down. So say you're not running a fridge and you just have these bins, you can lower the thing down. You can also lower it if you want to run a Trek top, that Trek fastback style top. So there's a bunch of options with this, and I want to talk about that a little bit today. Here's our other cargo rack, and you can see it's a little taller, which makes it harder to get stuff over. Still works fine. These, by the way, are directly compatible. They're exactly the same size. So if you have this one, you want to switch to the aluminum, or vice versa, super easy. So all the mounts will be the same. So this is the mounting system for a JL, and I brought a couple of these in here to show you. These are really nice. They're 3/16 steel that we laser cut and form. And these babies mount right up just like you're seeing in the picture there. And they give you multiple holes here so you can adjust it up and down, which is really nice. And this works for our steel cargo rack, what we call our large steel cargo rack, or our aluminum one. So that works out good. And of course that comes with all the hardware that you would need to mount everything. And then the next one is our universal cargo rack, which is this guy here. And these are also really nice, also 3/16. And what's cool about these is you can move them anywhere you want on the inner fender well and get your cargo rack at the height that you want. So this is shown in a TJ tub, but it's the same thing for JK tub or some other of the Jeeps. And you can see all of these on our website. Also, these brackets come with all the hardware, which is really nice. It's all grade 8. And just making it super easy. And again, this works for the steel one or the aluminum one. So just trying to get you guys and gals some good solutions as you come into the summer travel and camping season. So do we have any questions on that stuff, Jeff?
We have a few questions, none on that yet.
Okay. You want to, I can field a couple before we move on to the next topic?
One of our regulars, Leaf Baron, can I use your power steering pulley pump on a PSC pump 05 LJ stock 4.0 engine?
So it should work on that. What you need to do is actually measure the shaft on it before you order it from us. We have the shaft spec on our website. Just verify that it's that same size or within a thousandth, that it'll go on your shaft, the power steering pump shaft size. So just verify that first, but it should fit. That was what it was made for. Yeah.
Carrie Richardson. Would race seats hold me in place better? Whoops, it went away. Would race seats hold me in place better than my factory 392 JLUR seats if I'm not quite ready for a harness yet?
So that's complicated when you're talking about anything JL related. Forget 392, just the fact that it says JL. There are a ton of sensors within your seat. So the moment you pull that seat out, it's gonna light up your dash like a Christmas tree, and it may trigger your traction control and a few other things. So it's certainly going to affect the ability for your airbags to fire. So you're going to be affecting some of the safety systems in there. Now, if you don't care, then great. You're a friend of mine, because I don't care about any of that crap. So anyways, yes, the answer is yes. The deeper seats will hold you in better. That's why you'll find them in every one of my vehicles. And there's a couple of other things, right? So even though, don't think about the harnesses in terms of stock seats or aftermarket seats. You need the harnesses regardless. Now the downside is with the stock seats is you can't run the 5th point, or it's a little weird, right? You can do it, but it just goes around the front of the seat. So it doesn't quite hold you in like it should. But we've covered it on another Tech Talk before, where it's the bottom belt, the hip belt is the most important. That's what actually holds you in the seat. The shoulders don't hold you down, they just hold you from going forward and smacking your face on the steering wheel. So this is, and you can find this Tech Talk, I'm sure, on our YouTube channel, because we've covered this at least 2 or 3 times. But the one other consideration that you're going to have in a JL is if you put the deeper seats in, it's going to be a real pain to get in and out because you don't have a removable steering wheel. So if you notice, we've got that quick release steering wheel that all of us are running because we run the deep seats. So all consideration. So it's a great question. And everybody needs to be thinking about this. Remember, the newer vehicle you buy, the less you can do to it. It's just the way it is. So you just gotta, everything's tied together, and they're just trying to make these things basically so we can't work on them. I don't know. It's frustrating, to say the least. So anyways, you probably have the same seats I do in my Aftershock, because it's a a Rubicon, and they're better than the previous JK Rubicon seats, which were really slippery leather. Those things were ridiculous, and at least these have a little bit of grip. So anyways, hopefully that helps. But certainly not an easy question. And if you see JL guys on the internet, on social media, putting these seats in, I'm telling you, their dash is lit up and they've overridden all their safety systems. So just keep that in mind. What else you got?
Our friends Off-Road and Chill on YouTube want to know when we're coming out with the JLU Corner.
So I'm test fitting some of those next week on our Jeep. And then I was going to send the first set over to Summer because she's already bashed hers in. I know she needs some bad. But they're not far away. Basically, the process is we test fit, make any changes we need to do in production. We run a first article, verify all that's good, and then we can release it to production. So we're not far off. That is definitely my next product. Now that the JL cage is all buttoned up, that's the next one I'm working on for sure. Yep.
Speaking of Summer, she's on.
Yeah.
About the light. She said, just unhook the lights behind the dash console and poof, light's gone.
Yeah, well, I'm a big fan of black electrical tape myself. Just put it right on. Yeah, as long as it doesn't, start to trigger other things within your vehicle and make it start to go into limp mode. Yeah, I'm with you. So.
There's a couple other questions on YouTube.
Sure.
First one, Eric Nunn asked, what shops in Texas could install the JK Leaf kit with Jeff and
Brave.
Depending where you are, Brave Motorsports.
They're in Houston.
Houston has done a ton.
Yep. He's done a bunch of them. I know we've got that other shop in Dallas that's pretty good. They've done a
Dallas
bunch of,
Off-Road.
Dallas Off-Road. They've done a bunch of stuff. But I think they're swamped, so I don't know. But just have that person call in and talk to Jeff, and he can get him a direct referral. Or Jeff can get on after this and
I'll get
plug
on.
in some stuff.
One more YouTube question.
Sure.
How do you feel about Hydro Boost brake systems for a Jeep TJ?
I didn't even write it.
So those were super popular. And Jeff, you might have an opinion on this, but I wouldn't do it. The steering system's already stressed enough. I don't want to put anything else in that. I have seen people add extra pumps. Everything you put out, a power steering pump takes 15 horsepower away from the engine. So go ahead and add another one, man. You're just sucking that poor little 4.0 down to 0.
Yeah.
So
that was my thoughts. I didn't want to put anything that could possibly go wrong with steering.
Right.
If the steering, something goes wrong with your steering, especially me with full hydro.
with full hydro, right?
So that was my thought of not doing it.
And my thing would be, I would take a look at why they feel like they need better brakes, or maybe there's something wrong with the brakes themselves, right? Maybe they need better pads, bigger rotors. There's probably some other stuff that's available today. The Hydro Boost used to be a popular quick upgrade for people that were stuck on 15-inch wheels. But today with 17-inch wheels, that's usually able to be fixed. So that's all I would say. Certainly possible. There's plenty of them out there, for sure. And by the way, I just drove Terremoto today for the first time in a long time, and which is full manual brakes, and it just makes you have to man up and step on that brake like you mean it. So no power whatsoever in that baby. But on the brakes, we have plenty of throttle power, just no brake power. So what else you got?
GenRight Dave, what steps need to be taken with aluminum armor before painting them?
So there's a couple of things. If you're doing it yourself, what you want to do is you want to pick up a self-etching primer that is made for aluminum. Okay, so, and basically what this does is it retains the color so that when you paint it, part of the color doesn't soak in, and then it's like one tint off. So they did that on my doors, you know, but I took mine to the body shop and they know what they're doing. So they put the right primer on. And basically, it's almost like a two-part epoxy kind of a primer where it seals everything and then the paint goes on really beautifully. So just look for something like that. Otherwise, you know, anything aluminum should paint exactly like anything else metal you'd paint. And if you're going a simple color like black, you know, it doesn't even matter. So it's just if you're trying to color match. Okay.
There's a YouTube question.
Sure, another one, yeah.
2008 JKU with 1 tons. Is a J8 master cylinder necessary or master?
I don't know that it's necessary, but it's actually a relatively inexpensive upgrade that I would recommend doing. I think the last time I got one, they were like 160 bucks, or probably 200 now with stupid inflation. But yeah, it's an easy upgrade. It's a factory upgrade, so it's good quality. All the seals and everything that are in the booster are going to last nicely. So I'd go ahead and do it if it's something you got in the budget, for sure. Because the bigger 1-ton brakes are definitely much higher volume than what you had on, for sure. Yep, good question. What else we got? Are people complaining about the sound? No. Okay, good.
Thomas Erkey, wrap or paint?
Oh. Well, these days, everybody's all about the wrap. And it also depends on the complexity of what you're doing. If you're just going solid color, you know, you can kind of go any direction you want. I think it's kind of a wash. But if you want to put any kind of graphic in it, whether it's just, you know, shadows or flames or, you know, tribal stuff or whatever, you know, that level of complexity, you would spend a fortune in paint. So, or, you know, like if you're trying to do like the gloss and flat kind of a combo, that's really easy to do in wrap. So, and there's plenty of colors available in wrap, and you can get, you know, like I said, solid gloss, metallic, you know.
And I feel like if you plan on like wheeling it, wrap is the better way to go.
Easier to repair.
And it's cheaper to repair.
Yeah,
also.
yeah, for sure. For sure, that's a good point. Good point, Jamie. And you know why Jamie knows this? Have you seen his Jeep lately?
Oh, the call out.
Don't look at it.
Terremoto's not exactly looking like it pulled off the lot.
we're, as you can tell, we're always talking smack around here. Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. What else we got?
04 LJ, 3.5-inch lift, 35-inch MTs. How can I make it ride smoother?
Oh. Okay, so ride is going to be a function of spring rate. So I don't know how heavy or light your Jeep is, or if you've radically changed it now that it's summer, like you took off your doors, your top, you know, and all of a sudden it's, you know, several 100 pounds lighter and now it doesn't ride good anymore. Those are all factors that make a difference. In addition to that would be the dampening control in the shocks. Some shocks are just stiff, and I don't know if you're talking about, when somebody complains about ride, I always have to be very careful because I assume it means harsh, but sometimes people mean bouncy, right? Like shocks are blown and it's just boing, boing. So without any more information, I'm just kind of talking in general, and then you can kind of make your own choice. But a lot of the time, I also have to figure out whether they're talking about on the street, you know, we're just talking about smooth or maybe fire road, washboard kind of chattery stuff, or are we talking about going through bumps and drop-offs, and, you know, those are different things where maybe your shock is just completely undersized for what you're trying to do. The other common mistake is that people try and keep the Jeep really low, or some wise guy put longer shocks on and the doggone thing's bottoming out and you don't even realize it, right? You're thinking, I'm way away from the bump stop, but the shock's actually bottoming. So those are all common mistakes that you can take a look for on your vehicle, okay?
Are we going to Sheriff's Jeep Fest?
Oh, I don't know. A lot of the, with gas prices going up, that's really starting to limit, what everybody's doing. So right now that is not on the schedule. So unless they drop by half.
No, but we will be out towards the east. What's the next event?
Smoky Mountain.
Smoky Mountain.
Yeah.
So if you want to see us, we
In
will be
Tennessee.
at Smoky Mountain.
Yeah, yeah. So, and we were already at Daytona. So, yep. And I was just in Pennsylvania. So, what else we got?
Do you have any recommendation on onboard welders?
Oh, I've got a Premier, but these days everybody's buying like the Carnage, that self-contained, rechargeable unit. It's kind of what I call the power tank of welders. Like you just pick it up and carry it down to whatever pile of crap broke down on the trail and fix it. So Jeff's covering his face like, oh no. Yeah. Hopefully it's not you.
I've never needed a welder on the trail.
I don't think I ever have either. But I've been wheeling with but I've been wheeling with plenty of people that have needed it. And yeah, this brings up another topic. We were just talking about trying to describe to people all the stuff they need to check before they go on a trip. And we're going to go through where we actually show you, like on your drive shafts, how to look to see if the caps are spinning, which means the bearings are dry in your drive shaft. But most people never even check this stuff. They just go wheeling and cross their fingers and hope it's going to make it. Well, let me tell you, those brakes, when you break something like that, your trip is all but over. So you're much better off to do a thorough and complete inspection before you go. And I don't know. Anyways, what else you got?
From a man, Kelly Sims, I think Jeff should coordinate a local run, maybe to the Hungary Valley or something, as we cannot wait until Trail Hero to get together again.
Oh, well, I can tell you for Kelly that the moment Jordan's race car's back together, there will be a Hammers run. So, but that's a to be determined and going to be last minute notice, I'm sure. So
Make sure that AC's working in the camper.
yeah.
When can we expect to be able to buy yellow hats?
Oh, geez. You better not hold your breath. And Kelly, on the Hammers trip, I don't know if you heard me earlier, but I just drove the Terremoto for the first time since King of the Hammers. So it's back together and ready to rip, and I'm ready to get out and rip in that thing. So it felt really good driving around today. Yeah. Jim's got his
Punisher RC asked, do you recommend putting 2.0 coilovers on a 98 TJ for an overland build?
That's not bad. So let's talk about this. When you go, and we used to have some hanging out in here, the regular shocks. When you compare a regular shock, right, it's going to be a 1.5 inch or maybe 1 5/8 body, and then you go to something like a 2.0 King or Fox, you're talking about night and day. The quality level is probably 10 times the difference. In addition to that, you're putting the spring directly over the shock so that everything works parallel, right? So there's no binding. You don't have all these other, things happening that's making it not as responsive. So by going to a coilover, the suspension will absolutely be more responsive, which for an overlander means that it works better on a washboard kind of road. The other thing is that a 2.0 coilover, especially if you get one with a reservoir, is going to have more oil in it. It's going to have the ability to cool. You could even get one with adjustable compression. So there's a lot of extra features that by doing that would really make a big difference in the overall. Now, in addition to that, you're also getting a true dual rate spring, of which you can change springs, add preload based on the amount of weight you have in the vehicle. I mean, just a tremendous amount of adjustability. So yeah, going to a coilover is going to be substantially better, even a 2.0. If you can fit a 2.5, that's even better, but a 2.0 is what we ran forever for 12 years.
2.0 should be fine on a TJ.
Yeah, for sure. So what else you got?
Yeah, and we have other videos in much more depth than that.
Yeah, actually, if you go back and watch some of my original, just find some of the oldest videos on YouTube, GenRight's YouTube, there's videos of me ripping across the desert at 90 miles an hour on my 2.0s, and it's perfectly fine. So, yeah, I'm sure that when you're overlanding, you're not going 90 miles an hour. And this is over whoop-de-doos, not...
That's some overlanding I would do.
What?
I'm in for that.
Jeff's interested now. Awesome. Okay, what else we got?
Speaking of Smoky Mountain Jeep Invasion, will there be an opportunity to do some shock tuning, and will Aftershock be there?
So I'm trying to figure out if I can get Aftershock there. I just got a quote to ship it there and back, and it's not cheap. So I'm trying to figure out if I drive, do I have time to drive? Right now, the vehicle that is scheduled to be there is Peter's Maximus Tracer build. So it would be a very nice GenRight build, you know, on 2.5 coilovers, IBPs, in fact. So the only thing, you know, we're not going to be that's a show. That's not like where I bring an engine hoist and nitrogen, right?
Yeah.
We do that, right? Like at our turkey run, we do that. But something like Smoky Mountain, you know, we're there with Mickey Thompson, so that's kind of a different deal. Can I talk to you and you know, have some in-depth conversations? Absolutely. The first thing you need to do is go over to our website and download my coil over spec sheet. I need you to fill that out and get that email back to me. It's just tony@genright.com, easy enough. And then I could probably even start helping you right now because it asks you a ton of questions that will then give me some insight into what you're fighting. Similar to what we just talked about. You know, is it harsh? Is it bouncy? You know, there's all kinds of other things I have to know. And then we can begin to help you. So what else you got?
All right. Which axle set do you recommend for the LJ Tracer? I see most who have it are running the Curries, but see the option for Dynatrack 6080. Pros, cons each. I don't think we have a Dynatrack option for the Tracer.
Probably not for the Tracer. I think that option's on the Elite. So the big difference is this: that rolled back cover on the Curry axle, especially in the front, makes a huge difference. Because when it travels up toward the steering box and the bottom of the motor, everything is moved back out of the way, so there's a ton more room and you get a lot more up travel. On our EXS right now, you know, that's got another 1.5 inches more up travel than even our Elite did, and there's no way you can run anything but the Curry on that. So yes, we do make brackets for the Dynatrack that slide that upper control arm back, and that helps a lot. But you know, they're honestly, for anybody who's following us at all, and again, just like I was talking about a minute ago, go back and look at some of my videos that are now, you know, 12, 15 years old, that we're running Curry axles, and we've been running Curry axles and beating the crap out of them at KOH and, you know, on my Terramoto, or, you know, Jamie on the Growler. And these axles hold up. I know every time I go to the East Coast, people are questioning that, but I'm telling you, this stuff is bulletproof. And, you know, we're running up to 800 horsepower on these things and not taking it easy on them. And you know, they're not a problem. So, anyways, hopefully that answers the question. The Curry is definitely what we've designed it around. And there's a lot of other considerations, guys. Even if you want to do Dynatracks, you have to have them built to our spec. Okay, the companies, whether it's Curry or Dynatrack or whoever, they don't build their stuff to our spec. They put the front differential is not spaced correctly. They don't build the axle the proper width. They don't put the right amount of caster in. So, you know, you go and order axles and you think you're getting the right thing just because you heard us say 70 inches wide, but I'm telling you, it won't be the right thing. And you're gonna spend all that money and be disappointed. So if you're about to buy something, you need to call in and talk to one of my guys. That is not an internet purchase right there. So make sure you get the real scoop on that, and talk to somebody like us that's actually running the product you're buying. You know, all these other guys you're talking to, they don't drive Jeeps. I got news for you. Like, I don't care what company you're talking to. They're not They don't have a built Jeep that they're driving this stuff in. So they probably sponsor somebody or whatever, but that junk's not even right either. So yeah, you're watching the right channel. So what else you got?
I've been to brand new Curry 2.5 King, or I'm sorry, been a brand new rear 2.5 King shock shaft at Hammers on Chocolate Thunder by JKU. Other than having a spotter or changing to coilovers, is there a way to protect the shock?
I'm gonna guess that that's not a GenRight mounted coilover. It's probably a Rebel or an Evo or something else where it's hanging down and totally exposed.
I don't think it's a coilover at all.
Oh, it's not a coil. It's a regular shock.
So they do probably hang down.
They do hang down. So again, this is, and I wanted to get into this a little bit later in today's show. When you look at one of our builds, I'll tell you a quick story. When I first got into off-roading, every time I came back, if there was something on the bottom of my Jeep that had a bash mark, it got cut off and relocated. Okay, until where we are today. Completely flat belly, not a single thing hangs below an axle. So if you're not familiar with this, go over to the suspension part section on our website, and it will show you detailed pictures of how clean all of our stuff is. It shows what you have, and then it shows ours. And if you really look carefully, you'll see nothing hangs down. And there's a very good reason for all that. And exactly what you're talking about, you know, whether you're going forward and damage a shock, or you're backing up and you don't realize, you know, you think it just hit the differential or the bumper or something, but it just wiped out your shock. That happens all the time. I see it every time we go out, every single time. So people just want to learn the hard way. So what else you got?
Crazy Alan Alvarez would like to know what pressure you run your bump stops.
So, okay, this is a common question also. I like to, if I'm Alan, I'm going to start out at 200 PSI in the bumps of nitrogen. If I'm Tony, I'm going to start out at 150. So when you make changes in your bump pressure, you go 50 pounds at a time until you never feel bottom out again, okay? You can go up to 300 pounds. That's the max. And what you're after is, you know, when you hit something, you do not want to feel that hard crack to the frame. It's got to dampen. When you feel that hard hit to the frame, you're gonna rip the mount off, you're gonna blow a wheel bearing out, you're on the path to a catastrophic failure of something. And I know exactly what those somethings are on my Jeep. Like, I've got 10 hits like that before, you know, you bust the knuckle off, right? Like, it's, I pay careful attention to that stuff, because on the 9th one, I'm going back to the truck.
Well, remember we were under mine, and the bump pad was like bent down.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
so
2 inches, so that eliminates the bump stop.
That's right.
Essentially.
Yeah. So now you're bottoming out on the shock or something else, right? So that's even, or it's traveling up and getting into the bottom of the radiator or something else that it shouldn't be hitting. So yeah, certainly if your bump stop is bent, yeah, you need to up that pressure, because that means the only way that bump stop pad bends is that you've slammed beyond its travel. So that means I'd go up 100 pounds from whatever you are right then. Like, do not let that happen. That's really bad. So, but again, 300 pound max. Now, you're still blowing through the travel with 300 pounds in the nitrogen in the air bump. That means you got the wrong springs. So now you need to up both springs 50 pounds on that shock, and then start back over, okay, to make sure you don't just blow through that travel. Or you need to check up how you're driving and maybe get something else.
Hey, I think we just found the key to
I
Alan.
think we did.
I don't know if Alan could not hit the bumps, though.
Well, I've seen the way he
like a
drives.
crazy
I mean,
man.
you know, when you're skying at 12 feet across a dry lake, you know, that's pretty hard not to bottom out.
Alan did never change.
A lot of people never heard that story, right?
What?
So if you ever go to Johnson Valley, when you drive across Means Dry Lake, there's a path, a 2-groove path. You stay on that path. You never, ever go 10 feet off of that path. If you do, there's bad stuff, right? You're gonna hit something. So Alan decided he wanted to race me, so he moved out of my dust, and sure enough, right about the time he got up to speed, he hit one of those things, and was, everybody said they saw the entire bottom of his Jeep. So how he pulled that off, I'm not exactly sure, but the next day he was missing parts on his Jeep. So yeah, good stuff. At least we're laughing about it now. It wasn't so funny at the time, but we're laughing about it now. So what else you got?
Have you ever tried ball joint deletes?
They're on my Terremoto, and I like them. I've had good luck, and I've beat the living daylights out of them. So I think that's a good route to go. And I've even advised some of my customers on like Rubicon 44s that needed ball joints. I said, just go that way. I think it's still a good option. So, yep.
Any plans to support the Hemi swaps with the Elite suspension?
No. So this apparently you guys haven't watched a Tech Talk before. So there's a couple of reasons. Namely, I'll give you 3 strong ones right now not to do a Hemi swap. 1, 150 pounds heavier. 2, all of the components are cast into the front of the motor, so you do not have the ability to move the alternator, the power steering. Like an LS, you can move that stuff wherever you want, right? And there's lots and lots of kits to do that stuff. 3, oil pan options. Terrible, okay? So on an LS, you got tons of options, bigger pans, deeper pans, shallower pans, pans with trapdoors in them. So again, just the availability of all of this stuff. And by the way, we list all that stuff on our website for an LS. So we figured out what the best things are, and it's all available from us. So you don't even have to jack around trying to find all these things, because everybody and their second cousin sells something out there, but it's, you know, just their idea of, you know, some garbage. So anyways, but those are the reasons. Yeah.
We should probably mount the tire.
We haven't even gotten to it. Okay, let's see what else we got here. So, okay, I was gonna just refresh everybody's memory. Warn came out with this thing they call the hub. And basically what it is it gives you the ability to wirelessly, through your phone, talk to your winch, and you can see a picture of it here, with an app on your phone, right? So you just plug this thing in, it connects, and you plug it right where the normal winch controller would go, and then you've got the availability to do that on your phone. It's a super simple thing. You just plug this in and, you know, tuck it in somewhere down there on the bumper, and it's all powered by the winch through the plug. Super simple, available online through a number of sources, whether it's, you know, Amazon or Warn Direct or whatever. Pretty cool little upgrade if you're looking for something like that. One of the reasons they did this was because they were selling winches that were Bluetooth enabled, so it had like a little fob, like, you know, your car would, or your JL, but people weren't charging them. So they would get in trouble, go to use it, it's dead, now they have no winch. Well, the one thing that is always charged, your phone. So that's why they made this switch, and it's a cool product. So I just wanted to remind everybody this is available, and check that out when you get a chance. Okay, this is something I did want to give everybody a quick update on before we get on to the next thing, and that's our Bowtie TJ that we're doing the TJ to LJ stretch kit on. If you haven't seen this, this is God's gift to the TJ guy. This is what I'm going to call a reasonably priced, when you look at the amount of engineering that went into this thing, kit that allows you to stretch your TJ into a genuine LJ. And when I say that, I mean LJ cage, LJ top, LJ everything, okay? So we sell the frame kit, and then we sell an all aluminum cargo area, which includes brand new inner fender wells and everything. This is what we put on our Bowtie TJ, and here it is now. So it's almost done. We're just waiting on the seats, and I think we're gonna swap out the wheels for a different back spacing. But this thing is beautiful. We put high fenders on, our carbon fiber high fender hood. We've got our flak jackets. When the doors go back on, we've got factory half doors with our aluminum body armor on there. Then this thing's gonna go back to paint and get our original paint scheme on here. But we've installed an LJ cage with our aluminum roof, and this thing really, really looks good. I think we've got actually a couple more pictures here. So we did our EXT style rear flares, and you can see like this is so polished back here. It looks like you're looking right through the Jeep. It's absolutely beautiful. So we did put our 26-gallon fuel tank in here. We threw some brand new shocks on it. Even put new glass in the windshield. Like it's really looking good. There's a good shot of the heat reduction carbon fiber hood. And we've remounted, by the way, this vehicle forever had the reservoirs mounted up on the crossbar that runs across the motor. I've hated that ever since one of my guys did that. You never, never, never want those reservoirs inside the engine compartment. Never. If you didn't get that enough, never. They need to be outside in the cool air. There's a small piston that travels inside here. We've got a cutaway right here. So there's a small piston that travels inside this. And what this does is as the shock shaft comes in, it moves the fluid through here into this, and this piston slides back and forth. Well, as this whole assembly gets hot, all you're doing is heat soaking all the oil, and all this stuff expands, so it moves like crap. So you need that as cool as possible. The shock already generates enough heat in it by itself. In addition to that, this one happens to be adjustable. So you want your knob without having to open the hood. You want to just be able to reach in the fender well and make that change. And then we put our, we put our brand new inner fender wells. We updated all the TJ and YJ inner fender wells to have our ventilated panel in there, which is kind of cool. Of course, our flak jacket, our rockers, those are our mini boat side rockers, all the cool stuff. And we even ran the exhaust like we do on our other Tracer builds, right out the rocker there, which is pretty slick. And then of course, the LJ cage with the aluminum roof, and it's got every option on there. We're gonna make sure this thing is good and safe. And then quick update on this, and we'll kind of breeze through this too. My update on the Foreshock, what we were calling our budget YJ build, is this. We took it out to High Desert Roundup. Jordan drove the daylights out of it. He wheeled the heck out of it. We'd recently redone the axles, put in the Yukon gears, lockers, shafts, moved up to 35-inch tires, some raceline wheels. So that was kind of the last step in our entire build, complemented also by some nice quality JE reel drive shafts. And Jordan was out wheeling the heck out of this thing, and I'm telling you, it was impressive. I got to drive behind him quite a bit at HDR, and it really worked well. And then this last weekend, me and the boys went up and we're wheeling up at Kennedy Meadows, and got to run all kinds of trails, and this thing was just doing fantastic up there. So I'm super happy with how this is done. We do need to add some bump stops, and then maybe my next step on it is going to be putting in, I've got an AGR steering box and pump for it, so we're going to upgrade a couple things there that pushing those bigger tires is definitely giving the stock box a run for its money. So anyways, that's kind of our update on, just very, very happy with this. We've shot some additional videos this week. We posted some recent videos about the R1 brakes and a couple other things, so keep an eye on that YouTube channel and check those out. Okay, this is actually what we were really trying to get to, was I wanted to show everybody how to properly install a beadlock. Now, I think we're gonna have to shortcut this. So I've got two different setups over here. Why don't we pan over there? Let's take a quick look at that. I can essentially talk about the basics, and then we can field some questions on this, because I'm sure we'll have some, and kind of go from there. Are we all set to move over? Okay. All right. So a couple of things here. If you're going to be mounting a tire on a beadlock wheel, you can do this yourself. It takes a couple of steps. So the first thing I did was I put my wheel on a 5-gallon pail and I put a car battery down inside so that my 5-gallon pail doesn't just fall over. That's a super common thing when you see what we're about to do. Then you need to look at your tire, and on this one, it clearly says inside. Some will say outside, some will just say a direction. You need to pay attention to what that says or you're gonna be running your tire the wrong way, okay? So the next thing you do is, I've got a little bucket here with some soapy water. You soap this thing up and you put a lot on because this rubber is super sticky. Ideally, I would have had this tire sitting outside, getting hot. You want the rubber as soft as possible. And then what you're gonna do is you just kind of throw this thing on there. Let's try it. I'm gonna get Jeff's help here. And you just kind of angle it on here. And a lot of the time you can just shove it on the rim. Come on, baby. It's going. Come on, it's gotta go a little bit more this way. See? Oh. Kinda. Well, it doesn't. Of course, it doesn't want to go when we're doing a live show. Let's try just like hucking it on there. Sometimes that works. You can just kind of, like, just pick it up, and then we'll just throw it down on there. Ready? Yeah. Oh, that got pretty far.
Very close.
Come on, baby. So, it might require more soap, and certainly holding on to this thing a little bit better. This is one of those things where if you've got some tire irons and stuff, you can get it on there. But so we don't spend too much on this, the idea is you just get this on here, and then you get to this phase. So this one, I've just taken the ring off because I wanted to show everybody how to do this. Now, a couple things. If you've already got a mounted tire, I want you to pull the valve stem first, okay? You don't know what it looks like to have 25 or 30 pounds blow off in your face, but I'm telling you, it'll take off a hand. So you gotta never make a mistake of taking a tire apart without getting the valve stem out, okay? So, but we're gonna assume you're just putting this together. So you've just done the step we did, and then what you're faced with is you've gotta get this bead, this stuff out of the way, this bead down on the lip of the wheel. So Alex, go back over here. And what I'm talking about is this lip right here. Okay, so the tire has to sit down over that, and then you can start to put on the ring. So if your tire's not down on there, you're gonna need to grab the hammer of your choice. Typically you don't want something with metal because if you smack your rim, you could ding it or crack it. So you just beat the edge down. Sometimes you have to take a screwdriver and kind of pry it. But this is a very, very important part. If the tire doesn't sit evenly down around here, when you go to put the beadlock ring on, it's gonna squish all the rubber over to one side and it's not gonna roll around. So I've already got this down on here. So you then take your ring and couple of tips. If it's a ring that has lettering on it based on the manufacturer, you want to put that over the valve stem. That way you can walk right up to the wheel and you know right where the valve stem is. So in this case, you know, I would set the KMC right over the valve stem. Okay? This particular one was a race line. It does not have that designation. Next thing I want you to do is every single one of these bolts has to be lubed. Okay?
Not Loctited.
Not Loctited. So, and by the way, when you first put this on, these bolts are gonna barely catch, right? So make sure the grease is on the very end. You want it getting those first few threads as you go down. Now, lubing the bolt like this gives you a true torque rating, okay? So otherwise, what happens is when you do a dry bolt, it's not part of what you're fighting, or what it's going to sense in terms of torque is going to be incorrect because it's dry and it's actually just binding. Okay, so this is a tedious process, and you better not be in a hurry. Don't be doing this the night before you're going wheeling, or you're going to be very upset. So typically, I just counted the last time I mounted these, and I went around 10 times to get the proper torque rating. And the next thing I'm going to show you is that you don't go around until you're well into having these things tight. So you're going to do a crisscross pattern to evenly get this tire to seat and stay seated on that lip that I was just talking to you about. So it's very, very important to do this evenly, or like I said, the ring will squish over to one side, and then the rubber on the tire will be uneven, and I'm telling you, you don't have enough weights to balance this thing. It'll never roll right.
John Graham
Okay.
on YouTube asked why not anti-seize.
You can do anti-seize. Typically, it's just messy. You know, you get that stuff on anything, man, and it's just, you can't get it off, and next thing you know, you got it on your shirt, and your pants, and your hat, like whatever. It's just everywhere. Anti-seize is perfectly fine if you have it. A lot of people, don't have it. So if you got to go out and buy grease, you could buy anti-seize instead. That's fine. You're gonna make sure you get plenty of it, because by the time you're done with 5 wheels, it's going to take quite a bit. And yeah, that'll be fun. And this is a synthetic kind of grease. I find that tends to hold up a little bit better across the water, And keep in mind, just because you torque all these correctly in the beginning, okay, so we've got them all greased, doesn't mean that you don't have to retorque them, okay? This is a wheel, and there's a lot of moving around of stuff going on. The other thing is that you commonly scrape these on rocks, while you're spinning the tires, and that can, depending on what side it's on, actually loosen the bolts, just scraping them on rocks. So the other thing I wanted to show, Alex, was that although we're using a nice grade 8 bolt, there is an option to upgrade to an ARP. These are like grade 14 bolts. They're much, much better. We sell these in black, which is just a black oxide, so they will rust, so you have to paint them. Or you can get the stainless ones, which are super nice. And this is a highly upgraded bolt that are fantastic for these. And when you go, as these heads get beat on by the rocks, these tend to do better, and it's easier to get a socket on. So if you can afford it, I highly recommend this. So I just wanted to talk about that before I forgot. Okay, so the next thing I want you to do is with a small drill or very light powered ratchet, kind of a gun. I want you to just slightly, and I don't know if you saw, but I started all of these by hand. Do not start them with a power tool. You need to make sure that the threads are actually started. So, I'm going to keep working my way back and forth. And I'm just kind of going from quadrant to quadrant and making sure that this pulls down nice and even. Cool. happens every once in a while. So we're looking pretty good. We've just about got them all down. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. And so now that we've got them all down, now what we can do is we can start to go around, right? So start at the valve stem, and you're gonna work your way, again, in small increments, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this on the torque wrench. I've already got this set to 15 pounds, and I'm gonna just do a little bit at a time, right? So that one has very little pressure on it. And you're gonna go around, and I'm telling you, this is probably gonna be 10, could be as many as 15 times going around, but you wanna make sure that you get this correct. And you just keep going around. Now you do not just put this on here and crank one bolt to 15 pounds. Okay, you gotta do this in small increments all the way around, and don't lose track of where you are. And if you notice, we purposely do not run painted rings. We paint the wheels instead, because the rings just get chowdered and the paint looks bad right away. Okay, so we've done one round here, and you're just gonna keep going until you finally hear the torque wrench click, or if you've got the kind with a little dial on there, you know, you're reaching the right thing. Jeff, do we have some questions so far? Because we've only got a few minutes. So
wheel weights or beads. On a previous Tech Talk, Andrew said something about a dot on the tire lined up with the stem for weight for better balancing.
Yes, some tires have that. I don't know that if I saw
I
that
don't believe these do.
on this.
I haven't seen that a whole lot in a 40.
So the newest, and that you guys may or may not have heard me say this, you know, these tires are so well manufactured. There's so much engineering, and the molds these days are so good that the rubber is evenly distributed in the casing. And we don't even balance these. You know, like what I'm running on Aftershock, you know, Alex and I were just going 90 miles an hour cross country, and like it's perfectly balanced. So yeah, the tires are definitely a lot better. If you do have the dot, yes, then you should. Okay. What else you got?
Anthony Piquet. On our dirt track car, we used to paint the 4 starter bolts so that we know the first 4 to start with and alternate from there.
Good idea.
Something I do.
Yeah, if it helps you keep track of it, for sure. For sure.
Any YouTube questions, Jam?
Nope.
Doing okay over there.
What PSI do you typically run the Mickeys? Over 8 pounds seems to bubble.
Okay, so I'm not sure if they're talking about on the highway or off-road. So I'll tell you this. Because of my connection with Mickey Thompson, I have the ability to have the engineer that designed this tire actually run the calculations for me. So typically I was running them at 25 pounds. He asked me to weigh the Jeep and came back and said the proper weight for these on the highway is 28. So the air pressure has to do with how much heat it sinks off in hot conditions, of course, right? In cooler conditions, not as much of a concern, but you know, we were talking summertime, you need to have the correct pressure or the casing of the tire gets too hot and starts to break down. Off-road, you're typically not going that fast, and unless you're like me and Terremoto or you guys with your V8s, we go down. I like to air down so that I end up at 8 pounds after they've warmed up, because the tire will grow 3 pounds. So that's the reason why a lot of racers run nitrogen, is because there's no change with heat, but in air, you'll get a 3 pound change once they're warm. So.
Off-topic question.
Sure.
Can you give us a review of how you like your solar setup and what you used on the aftershock?
Sure. So I bought that kit off of Amazon, and it was a complete kit, right? So it came with the 2 super thin solar panels, all the cables, so it was kind of plug and play, the control box. So from there you had to hook it up to whatever battery you wanted, and I chose to use a small motorcycle size Odyssey, and that's what I'm using to charge, and then from that runs my fridge exclusively, right? So my fridge is not tied to the rest of the vehicle, because what I didn't want to happen was to have the fridge run down my main starter battery and then I'm stuck. So in addition to that, I do run some other accessories once I'm set up in camp, lights and etc. So again, if something happens, I haven't killed the Jeep, it's all running off that system. Here's what I can tell you. Solar is highly inefficient, right? So you may be able to calculate that I only need 50 watts of solar to keep up with the fridge. A fridge typically uses like 65 watts, by the way. So if you get a 50 watt panel, the most it'll do in perfect conditions is 30 watts. Okay, so it will never keep up with your fridge. That sucker will be dead in no time. Okay. So that said, I knew I needed 100, right, to even keep up with the fridge. Well, again, that's in perfect conditions. So you get a little dirt on there, the sun's not at high noon, right? You're driving through shaded trees, you need 200 watts to barely keep up. Okay, so I don't know, it pissed me off that that's how it works, but I figured it out and I got it dialed, and that's that. So 200 watts is the bare minimum to run the small 37 quart ARB fridge effectively anyways. So hopefully that answers the question. And by the way, that solar kit wasn't very expensive. I think it was $400. So what else you got?
That is all I have.
Okay. All right. So we're getting close to the end. I just want to remind everybody, after you have made your laps on this and gotten it to click, then you're going to want to, after you run it, go back and recheck them. Okay. So, and certainly if you've got scrape marks on there, I've had it where the bolts are completely backing out because it was up against a rock. You need to retorque those before they damage the threads inside the wheel. So one of the reasons we like the Raceline wheels is because they use those PEM nut inserts on the back. So if something happens to the bolt, you can just pop that out, pop a new one in. Every wheel comes with extras, and that way you're able to make that repair. So, all right, I think that's it. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up. I don't think we have any extra slides, right? Just back to our website. If you haven't been there, click on the company, and that's where you'll see the Tech Talk tab, and we've got a whole bunch of downloadable PDFs, including that shock setup sheet is on there. Check that out. And as always, we've got our phone number right there at the top. You can't find what you're looking for, just call in. One of the differences with GenRight is we answer the phone. I got lots of people there that know what they're talking about. Even the receptionist drives a Jeep, okay? I think, events, we keep updating this, so make sure you check that out. That's also under the company tab right there on the website, if it'll go back for me. So events is also listed here, so easy to find. And we've also got all these events listed on Facebook as well. And of course, again, turn on your notifications and make sure that you follow us. We'd sure appreciate that. Anyways, that's it for today. Next week, I think we've got LS conversions is what we're going to talk about. That ought to be a popular topic. We're going to go over everything that you should expect and have to change or just anticipate and make a budget for.
Which is way more than you think.
Way more than you think. So we just want everybody to have a realistic expectation. We know it's a popular topic, and when done right can be very effective and fun, but it also may or may not be legal in your state. So all the things that you need to know. So, all right, everybody, thanks again. And until next Wednesday, we'll see you then. How are we looking, Mr. Alex?